I just learned a lot about hyping up an audience. I did not expect for there to be a hype man at BookCon. That's fantastic. Aaron knows what he's doing, pitting you against one another. This side yell book, this side con. This side, stop. This side Westeros, this side Middle Earth. Not, this side John Green, this side Hank Green. Yeah, I want to see some fighting later. I had a whole thoughtful introduction for the gentleman you are all here to see about his amazing book, Gumption, about his love of woodworking and his love of well-made things, whether they are things well made of wood or people well made of guts, including the 21 gutsy people he profiles in this book. I had a whole thing. It was a whole This American Life piece that I worked up for you guys. But you guys are too excited to listen to my dumb rambling. So without further ado, we'll work all that into the discussion. We'll take some questions, and we're all going to feel a lot of gumption by the end, and you may have to see a gumption doctor. Here comes to the stage now, giving him time to walk to the stage. If you're ready, I'm ready. Are you ready? Mr. Nick Offerman. Get up, get up, get up. Power poses, power poses. They have been hyped and they are yours.
Fantastic. Thank you. Good afternoon. I like this energy. By God, I'm gonna fix my hat like I'm going to work. Thank you for showing up. I presume you misread the invitation, but we're here, so I'll give you a couple songs to think about. This is the first song I ever wrote. I wrote it for my wife for her 50th birthday. A lot of 50-year-olds, thank you. She asked me for a rainbow for her birthday, and I thought I was screwed till I realized I could make a rainbow out of art. And I wrote this, the Rainbow Song. You read me my rights when you arrested me. You put me on trial and gave me life. But aren't you glad I didn't say banana when you made me your bitch and I made you my wife? You yellow, you yell when I ball a melon, but you don't complain when I tickle your back. We're both agreeing to serve our time. If I drop the soap, I know you'll watch my crack. Please enjoy this rainbow song and this gift of leprechaun romance. Please enjoy as part of this well-balanced breakfast the lucky charms you will find in my pants. You blew me away when you sang Shock the Monkey. Your fingers inside me, let the games begin. Indigo is a tough one to pun with, but when we're apart, it's the mood that I'm in. We get along so well, we could never be compared to Jesus of Nazareth and Pontius Pilate. But if you'll endure the slight of calling me sir, I'll be Peppermint Patty to your Violet. Oh, please let this song be your rainbow. I've got my Cialis, so I shall not fail. Please don't deny my advances, for tonight you're going to take it in the pail. Please let this song be your rainbow. I made it for you, this shit cuts like a knife. Forever I'll follow this rainbow to that 50-year-old sweet pot of gold that seems to grow foxy instead of old, from which I hope to never be paroled, my angel in a centerfold. She plays more than Sousa upon my fife, my jaw-droppingly beautiful wife. Thank you. This side Megan, this side Nick, this side Loves, this side Megan. It was a fun game. What else? You guys like Carrie Underwood? Yeah, that was satisfying. Hopefully that's the most ambivalent reaction you'll have in the next hour. I like her a lot. She's very talented and beautiful, but she crossed me and all of mankind with the terrible message of her song, Jesus Take the Wheel. The narrative goes along well until she suggests that when you're on an icy road and your car begins to skid, you throw your hands off the steering wheel and ask any deity to drive the car for you. That's just a terrible message. So I wrote a song that you probably saw when at the top of the Billboard charts called Jesus Take the Weed, which with a much more comforting message. And I was asked by the government not to play it for you here today, but closely following upon that song, I like to wrap it up with a song that is also the title of my first book, Paddle Your Own Canoe. And we'll repeat this at the end of the show, but after this extravaganza is over, Mr. Hodgman and myself will be signing books at Table 1. We requested Table 69, but apparently Mindy and BJ already had dibs. They know people. Paddle your own canoe. Siddhartha says life is like a river. The thought of watching it pass me by causes me to shiver. So I grab life by the balls, I got some advice to deliver. Get off your caboose, paddle your own canoe. Take the road less traveled, says Robert Frost. Keep your stone rolling so it don't accumulate no moss. Leave the faint of heart and sucking on your exhaust. Live a little life, paddle your own canoe. Don't while it away masturbating in the ditches. Put your tackle away and hitch up your britches. Then provision your boat with several pulled pork sandwiches. Indulge in savory meat stuffs, paddle your own canoe. Young Teddy Roosevelt was a weak little puss, but he exercised and became quite an ornery cuss. So he could whoop a bear and also Cuba without a fuss. By God, number 26 paddled his own canoe. You like to enjoy some intoxicants and you like to dance. The preacher tells you to keep your pecker in your pants. But the preacher'd be kissing your nephew, giving half the chance. You should spend your Sundays paddling your own canoe. I might have mentioned Jesus Christ himself got high in my van. I told him I wouldn't go to church and he shook my hand. He said, my son, just let me run inside and use the can. Number 2, then we'll get some Doritos and paddle your sweet canoe. What would Jesus do? Paddle my goddamn canoe. Thank you very much. Jesus wanted to have Doritos in the canoe because of all the weed he smoked in the previous song. Thank you for being so generous with me here today. I'd like to call back to the stage the handsome and inimitable John Hodgman. And an even more sexy guest by the name of Paul, a special surprise.
Whoa. Oh, my goodness.
Goodness. Free hat.
I'm gonna leave you with these two.
Apparently Hodgman didn't get the flannel shirt and jeans email.
I got that memo and I shredded it immediately. I'm attending BookCon. I want to dress up nice. I'm a city mouse. You're a country mouse. And you're an Ant-Man. Premiering July 17, this very year. Is it
This side ant, this side man. New trailer.
Great.
Right there.
All right, we'll see you in the autograph line.
Right.
Bye. Should we sit down?
Let's be seated.
Where should I? You know, I feel like since Nick, you're such a crafter of wood and hand-hewn items.
I'll sit on the stump.
Sit on the. I think we should all sit on stumps. It seems to me. Let's
I like it.
bring your stump. Pull up a stump, you guys.
Oh man,
This is
these
better.
stumps roll.
They turn.
Oh no.
It's like a sit and spin.
Oh. Oh wait a minute, Paul. I just
Yeah.
got a text from the Disney Corporation asking you to stop doing that.
No. Makes sense.
They need you alive for Ants. Is it Ant-Man or Ants-Man?
It's Ant-Man, A-U-N-T, man.
He's just an ant-man.
Yeah, he's an ant, man. Yeah.
And Nick, is it Gumption or Gumption?
Gumption.
Gumption is the name of your book. That's what we're here to celebrate, as well as your career, your talent, your handsomeness, no matter what your facial hair configuration is.
Thank you.
And
That's generous.
obviously the premiere of Ant-Man, July 17 this year, you guys. Just
It's what's up.
You're too kind. That's not why we're here. We're here for this man.
sure.
I'm going nowhere with the rest of the sentence. I can
All right,
enjoy
good.
this nice small bottle of water.
So I met Nick Offerman just a month ago. Well, not much longer than that.
It was
a month or two ago.
surprisingly recently.
It was surprisingly recently, but I feel like I have known you my whole life because you are a man of enthusiasms that many of which I share. We met through, you directed a video for Jeff and Spencer Tweedy's band Tweedy, which was great, and I got to have a little cameo on it, but we didn't get to meet at that.
Well, we shot John 3 times, I believe.
That's
in
right.
both New York and Los Angeles.
Until
and
I
each
could-
time I was in the opposite city to him.
He's a very busy man.
The two of us are. So we actually, if you've seen that video, there's a scene. I actually play a monkey at the end of the video. Garnock, I believe is his name.
that was your intelligent monkey name.
And there's a scene between Garnock and John, and our two sides of the scene were shot weeks apart.
a little bit of a little bit of Hollywood magic. And then, but then it turned out we not only knew a lot of people in common, but we liked a lot of things in common. You love Laurie Anderson, you love Tweedy, you love Frederick Douglas, you love George Washington,
The Big Four.
Teddy Roosevelt. You are passionate about Freemasonry and secret societies, something very close to my heart. You once were passionate about mustaches. That's all over now. You love woodworking, and I love things that are worked out of wood. I use them every day of my life. I hope that you will fashion for me someday a pedestal on which I can sort of rest my foppish hand as I drink my martini. That would be something. That's where it all starts to go astray. But there was a moment. It was
a fop stick.
Yeah. And there's an electric moment that happens when you find your people in the world and you suddenly realize, oh, like we're thinking about the same things. We should have been talking about this for years. And that's, I say humbly, how I felt once I met you. And I feel even more excited because now I realize, reading your book, that you are one of the great infiltrators of all time. That you, like me, use writing to insinuate your life into the lives of your heroes. Is that not so?
Or perhaps insinuate their lives and lessons into my own.
No, you just wanted to meet these people, so you wrote a book.
Yes.
That's why we do these things.
Yes, absolutely.
What's George Washington like?
I know.
He's a tall motherfucker.
I knew it.
Strapping.
No, I'm being a little facetious.
Red Bush.
Really? Huh.
I
Left that part out.
I thought it was made of wood.
No, that's a common
They called him Old
misconception.
Woodbush, you know.
You have profiled 21 Americans who are great in your mind, and they all share one thing, which is gumption. Some of them are dead, like George Washington. Sorry, spoiler. Some of them are alive. They are your friends and your heroes, and they all share this trait called gumption. How would you define it?
Gumption.
That's a good question, by the way, you guys.
That is. When I made the list of people, and then I said, okay, Smarty, now how are you going to glue these people together into one cohesive tome? And it came to me immediately that it was their gumption. And to me, it has a rather loose definition, but it's the spunk, the pith, the gravel. One is required to have the get up and go, to see the work that needs doing in their lives around them, and roll up their sleeves and get to work at it. And I find it most moving when people are working to make the world a more decent place for all of us. And sometimes they do that with actions and political policies. Sometimes they do that by building wooden boats. Sometimes they do that by giving us incredible masturbation techniques, which is actually got cut from the Eleanor Roosevelt chapter. But when we make a DVD, that will be a special feature. Once FDR got in the wheelchair, they had to get creative, you know.
And
I'm formulating a Hyde Park joke in my mind right now. That's halfway finished.
we'll workshop it later.
Yeah, I'll get back to you at the next one.
But on the subject of masturbation, I just want to point out that my daughter's in the audience. There is, in the book, a commonality among all the people of doing things on their own, if you will. Insofar
It's pretty good.
He's got the goods.
as I think almost every one of them is essentially a sole proprietor in life, whether in business, they own their own wooden boat building shop or their tool making facility, or they are revolutionaries like Frederick Douglass or George Washington, who charted a path for themselves without concern, more with concern to principle and personal enrichment, not monetary enrichment. You know what I mean? Now I'm just dragging on. But
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and everyone knows what I mean, so I'll shut up and you talk.
It is kind of an extension of the notion of paddle your own canoe. That as a philosophy or way of life requires gumption. Gumption is the fuel with which you paddle yourself down the river. And it's interesting. A lot of these people in my book are heroic to me, and like Wendell Berry, for example, I've read all of his work so voraciously. And actually, Paul and I met at some shindig in Hollywood years ago, and we got to talking like, oh, nice to meet you. And we quickly determined that we were both nerds for history, and we were so excited in the same way because usually at a party, we talk to people and they're like, oh, what have you been doing? Well, I'm reading the amazing 7th biography of Thomas Paine. Let me recite a couple chapters for you. And just boring people and being horrible party guests. But when two of us find one another, then we giggle and run around and talk about the mistakes General Sherman made. And so it was in experiences like that where I would tell people about, say, Wendell Berry or Laurie Anderson, and they would say, oh, I'm not familiar. I was like, oh my God, I have to make you a mixtape of this band. You're going to totally freak out. And so that's what this book is.
This is a big cultural mixtape
That's
of
right.
the things that mean a lot to you.
And when you're starting off, are you making just an enormous list and paring it down? And
Yeah.
that, I would imagine, is probably the hardest
I
part.
think he's asking why neither of us were on the list, the final list.
You
Like,
guys were top.
We were probably like number 22 and 23, right?
right.
I mean, you know,
Top 175.
I'll take it.
I mean, you can ask anybody. Make a list of like people in America who inspire you. Once you start thinking about it, you're like, oh Jesus! It was really easy to shit out 40 or 50 names, and my editor quickly said, okay, if we do 20 pages a piece, you can have 16, and I said, I'll have 21. And she was pregnant at the time, but I fought her with my fists. There are 21 chapters in the book. The baby is fine. His name is Owen. We get along great. But yeah, that was the hard part. Was only cutting it down to only 21 chapters.
And how did you? I forgot what I was going to say.
Settle on the ones that the 21, or was there somebody that you had to leave out that was heartbreaking?
That's a good question, Paul Rudd.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
What?
That doesn't warrant any applause. Really doesn't. You guys.
Who was the one that was left on the cutting room floor that hurts you the most?
The hardest ones to cut, the final ones. And it was interesting because, like, you know, if there's something I wanted to gripe about, like, say, slavery, say, okay, Frederick Douglass is an amazing, has a great life story, but he's also a great place to focus on something like slavery. And there were some people that are so fascinating to me, and in many cases, it was also really hard to only write 20 pages about these people. I want to just talk to you for a week about Wendell Berry, and that was difficult. Steven Soderbergh said he would be in the book, and he's someone who I would love to just write 3 books of things he said to me, because he's so hyper intelligent and fascinating. Amy Poehler is an actress who I find equally charismatic. Just I think I learned from her. You know, we've been contemporaries. I've known her for over 20 years, amazingly, and she's someone who just always inspires me. Working with her, I would tell her about once a week, like, here's the lesson 137 I learned from you this week. She's a wonderful leader. And by including Carol Burnett in the book, who is in the book, I was able to throw to Amy for a paragraph, which was
Yeah, about 60% of the Carol Burnett chapter is about Amy.
It's all
Poehler.
Amy, yeah.
Be careful.
Sorry, I get besotted when I begin to speak of Leslie Knope. Robert Redford agreed to be in the book, and we just ran out of room. I mean, I couldn't wait to just get to, with him, I was going to just sit and look at his face. I didn't even care what he said, and probably,
It's a fascinating landscape of handsomeness.
It
isn't
is.
it? Constantly changing.
It's a magnificent old saddle.
The book starts with George Washington, and appropriately, a lot of the book is not just about doing good in the world, but an inspirational way to me about the pursuit of happiness. Because everyone, do you know what I mean? Like Wendell Berry, for example.
Sure.
It's a lot of his work, and particularly the work that you highlight, his novels and his short stories and his essays, in your book, is about pursuing happiness, but pursuing happiness through work, through hands-on work. And I wonder if you could speak to that a little bit.
Sure. I mean,
Since you've never worked a day in your life.
I beg to differ. July 17th, 1993, I baled hay for 7 hours, and
That's hard.
that qualifies as work.
It's funny, July 17th is also an Ant-Man that comes out in theaters. Most of the country and other countries as well, so be sure to check that out. But go back to your thing.
That's an example of good work right there. Both of my books are a response to. First, I had the idea of I have a bunch of stories that I think are funny, but also cautionary tales by which I feel like people could prosper. Like here's something really stupid I did, and I think I can write it in a way that'll make you laugh, but maybe it'll then keep you from smoking pot in the sheriff's station, which is a piece of advice I'll freely give you. But once I said, I have this incredible opportunity to write a book. I'm not as funny as my friends that are the most hilarious comedians in the world, and I'm not as smart as these writers that I look up to, but if I can meet somewhere in between, maybe I can, much like Parks and Recreation, I can try to be funny while saying I love you to the people. And the way that I do that is to say, look around me and see where I think we're going wrong, and I include myself. That has a lot to do with consumerism and the things that we're sort of sold to fill our days with, and say, I've learned that if you get a spoke shave and make yourself a shoehorn out of walnut, it's actually a lot more fun and satisfying than winning any of the Mario Brothers Nintendo games.
Yeah, there's a big difference between distracting yourself and entertaining yourself.
There is.
Going back to onanism there. Masturbation is what I meant.
I was taken, I was taken in reading the George Washington.
That's the first chapter, right, Paul?
Yeah, it's the very first chapter. But talking about how
I've read all of them.
I was saying I've got most of it. I've got most.
Well, we know you read the first chapter.
We were talking. First of all, I never realized how amazing Yoko Ono is. You guys got to read this book.
Yeah, you got to read this book, you guys.
But the first chapter, when I was skimming it, I noticed that there was a section about George Washington, about how 15 years old, he's writing a list of kind of do's and don'ts.
His values. In fact, you can get it. It's a little published chapbook of George Washington's. It's 101. And he was copying it. He didn't make them up, but as an exercise, back then, instead of playing video games, he was writing out this list of etiquette rules, like make sure your knife is not too greasy.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Are we talking about masturbation
That
again?
is,
or
that is
is that actually a
euphemism,
knife?
But I want to leave it there.
I had something that I was going to say, and I completely
Yeah, but
forgot.
even then, little George Washington was trying to figure out a way to have a meaningful life. And every one of the people in this book has had a meaningful life that is not just full of distractions, but good work that they have done themselves. And I found it very inspirational to read. And we're going to go take some questions from the audience, but before we do, you actually did sneak in a 22nd Great American. Nick Offerman, as a character in the book, is this beautiful seeker and thinker and a very funny guy and a tremendous writer, which I happen to find very annoying. And it's really worth reading. And then once you read all of it, go explore the people that he is opening your eyes to if they're not already open to them, because it's a pretty good primer for how to lead a meaningful life.
Well, thank you very much, John. We had a deal,
Here,
no
here.
compliments.
Very true. 22 in the book. 22.
22.
Wow, that's very generous.
Should we take some questions from the audience? If you have questions,
If you have any,
there are
let's-
people lined up over there. There's a very short
those
line
are,
over
those are
here.
question lines. I was like,
Oh, no. Oh, you're all sitting down? All right, I don't care. We'll figure it out. So, shall we go to the Westeros side first or the Middle Earth side? It's your call, Nick.
house left, please. I'm on the left.
All right, the young person with the French horn T-shirt. Hello.
Hi. Should I say my name? My name is Jesse Pasternak. I'm from Irvington, New York. And Nick, you love wood very much, and books themselves are made out of paper. Another connection to your woodworking love. Do you prefer reading books on paper, and would you compare writing a book to making a canoe of some sort?
Oh, that's a great and multi-layered question.
I'll take your fifth question first.
Jesse Pasternak, you look very handsome from here, by the way. I'll just throw that out there. If you're available, ladies. French horn T-shirt. I do prefer reading a book. I don't like looking at a screen. If I'm going on a long trip, I get, instead of taking 12 books in my bag, taking an iPad. Is that what it's called? An iPad?
That's one of them.
Yes, it's definitely called an iPad.
The iPad. I'm not sure how you say it, but other than that, I just really, and Wendell Berry actually puts it very eloquently. He says that he doesn't even like to turn a light on. He feels the electrical wire encroaching upon his farm. Because if he can make everything work with sun and water and soil and plants and animals, that is the most beautiful accomplishment to him. So he likes to read by the natural light, if possible. And I haven't been able to achieve only that, because sometimes I'm up at night. But I greatly prefer just the artifact. You know, I love having a book that I can carry with me. And also, it's great for killing bugs or cudgeling vegans. It comes to it. I'm just kidding. I love vegans because they leave more meat for the rest of us. Writing a book is, sure, you can make an analogy that it's like building a canoe. It's making anything, you know, you sort of have to have a plan, and you start at the beginning, and hopefully you know where the middle and the end are going to come. They're both long, meticulous projects, and once you've assembled all the strips or gunnels or paragraphs, then you have the opportunity to polish it and ultimately hope that it will float.
One of the things that I really enjoyed about the book, when you talk about your first tackling of making a wooden canoe, is that it's an overwhelming feeling of like, how can I possibly bend this wood and keep it afloat somehow? But you realize that it's just a step-by-step process. You make one part of the canoe, and then you make the next part, and then you make the next part. I'm presuming you start with the outside. I don't know how canoes work or boats. But and eventually you have this thing that you feel like you could not have possibly imagined making when you started. And writing a book is the same way. You know, people are always asking, how do you write a book? But it's the same way you accomplish any meaningful thing. You just do a little bit every day, and it adds up to...
Yeah, you write a sentence, and you're like, all right.
Now, if you,
I'll try a second sentence.
yeah, it's exactly how it's done. Now, if you are trying to write a book and you set out to write a book and you end up making a canoe, you fucked up. But you get a canoe out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we go over here?
Hi, I'm Jonah from Suffolk, New York.
Welcome, Jonah.
Okay. First, before I get to my question, I just want to say that I actually have a bad disease. I was a Make-A-Wish kid, and both of you just gave so much joy in my life from every episode of Parks and Rec and every movie that you've done. It's made everything so much easier, and I'm finally in remission. Just wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
Right on, Jonah.
Thank you. It's a lucky job, and one of the nice things about it is when it actually gives medicine to people, and so I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, there's a two-part question. One, how did all of you get to become so awesome?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And two, I was hoping, and it's okay if you say no, if you could sign these for me.
Sure. Will you come to table 1 and I can sign them?
Yeah. Will Sir Rudd be there?
Well, this
Come on
guy?
up here, Jonah. Let's do this now.
let's make it happen. Hey, Paul.
Nope. Oh.
Wow. Are you sure that's a pen?
Here, I gave you my suppository. There's a Sharpie.
Gosh, I'm going to have to stop this for union regulations. I apologize. I'm just kidding, of course.
And meanwhile,
He did not enjoy that joke at all, the poor young man.
I'll answer the question of how I think I can speak for Paul and I, maybe not John, but how we got to be so awesome, I believe was the question. Dumb luck. I think for me, I can say I minded my manners, and that went a long way towards people not firing me. But there's a lot of mediocre-looking people who can fall down well. And so when they ask me to stick around and be in a scene to do that, it's because I'm very lucky. And that makes me grateful, so I keep minding my manners. How did you guys get so awesome?
Well, I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. Jonah, I think when you read the book Gumption, you're going to read profiles of a lot of people who figured out that the only way to live your life is to do the thing that you're passionate about and makes you happy. And it takes a long time for people to figure that out in their lives because there are a lot of things in society and in your family, people telling you what should make you happy. It's very hard to know what makes you happy, and you figure that out slowly. And if you do the wrong thing for a while, it's not the end of the world, but eventually you got to figure out what is it that I really want to do so I'll be happy when I get up every day and do that. That's the hardest part, because once you do that, you don't need to be awesome because you're already awesome for yourself, and then usually good things happen after that.
Thank you, sir. On the second one, that's my PIN number for my ATM card, and we'll settle the rest later. Thanks a lot. Nice to meet you, sir.
Shall we go back to the Middle Earth side?
I also just gotta say, Jonah seems way more awesome than anybody I think
That's the
could
truth.
I could ever hope to be.
Pretty good.
I feel like we probably need to ask you that question, not you ask us. So.
Yeah, and you don't. The other thing is well, never. I won't say it. Go ahead over there.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Hi. I'm Sam. I'm from Long Island. That's really boring. And I just want to start off by thanking you for being
It's
who
not
you are.
really boring.
It's a little
You
boring.
know who else is from Long Island?
Who?
Run DMC.
All right. Yeah. There we go. But yeah, I want to thank you for being who you are, because who you are is excellent. And John, you kind of answered this, but Paul and Nick, feel free to answer as well.
I might do it again.
Do it again. Why not? I would love to know one piece of advice you would give your younger self, if you could.
For me, I would say use 2 condoms. In hindsight, that would be my admonition.
That's good advice.
I'm actually Nick's son.
Mine would be when in doubt, go with the hat trick. Use 3. Don't be. Try your best not to be afraid when it comes to the decisions in life that are the scariest. If you tend to roll the dice on that, it pays off, and if you don't, it can stay with you for a long time.
Don't turn down a small role on Breaking Bad just because you're afraid to live in Albuquerque for a while.
Really 3 versions of the same sentiment. Protect yourself.
Do you feel satisfied with those answers?
Oh, 100%.
Because we're going to move on, so we can.
Thank you.
Great talking to you.
Hi, my name's Jolie, and I'm from Long Island.
Boring.
I'm Kimmy, and I'm from Long Island too. So.
Still boring.
Nick, we were wondering, your wife is so funny on Parks and Rec. Is she just as funny in real life?
Thank you for the compliment, first of all, and I agree. Yes, I mean, it's funny, people often ask us, they say, what's it like at your house? Do you guys just sit around and do Ron and Karen with each other? And we say, no, that's what we do for our job. It would be kind of weird. But she's incredibly funny. I mean, she's such a ridiculous goddess of talent, which makes me astonished that she's kept me for 15 years. She's not only is she that funny, but then she can turn around and sing in a way that makes you cry with pleasure, and she does some other things also that will bring tears to the eye and blood coursing through the veins.
Like what, Nick? What do you mean, like?
Just stuff. She does stuff. Really good stuff slowly.
Are you satisfied?
Sounds like she
with-
paddles your canoe.
She does.
An afternoon program, you guys. A lot of children.
That was super clean.
Are you satisfied with that answer or no?
Yes.
Do you have a follow-up question? That's yes or no question? No. Okay.
Thank you.
Over here?
We just have time for 2 more questions, so.
Oh, well, no, we'll go fast.
Hi, I'm Lizzie, and I just want to say, love you guys. You guys are awesome. So I have a 2-part question. 1, Nick, was it difficult to shave the stash? And 2, do you see yourself writing again, like in the future for anything?
Thank you, Lizzie. No, I'm so grateful that Ron Swanson and Parks and Rec worked so well that it makes people angry that I would dare look different than I did on that show. I understand that that's a compliment when they say that it makes them puke to see my face without a mustache. But I do want to remind them that it is my face that they're accusing of being nauseating. But no, I mean, I was playing a guy with a mustache, and now I'm not playing him, so I want to play other people, so I had to take it off. And if I keep it off for a while, then maybe I can bring it back and play some sort of bumbling sheriff. But I appreciate it. And what was the second part of your question?
Do you see yourself like writing again in the future?
Sure, I really love writing books. Actually, we're talking about maybe doing a woodworking book centered around my shop for in a couple Christmases. That might be the next endeavor. We'll see. Thank you. Or Big Bang Theory fan fiction, one of those 2. Bazinga.
Hi, I'm Emily from Michigan.
Hi.
Hi,
Say your name again and louder because it's a good name.
Emily.
Yeah.
That is pretty.
I know you ran out of space, but if you did have room, what would you say about Paul Rudd in your book?
Well, I would start with the...
Yeah, that's a great question.
I would start with the meeting that I described, because in the morass of Hollywood, there are a lot of people in our business, especially when you are crazily handsome, who turn out to be assholes because they've never, everything's handed to them, and they walk into a place and they're like, "Where's my Diet Sprite?" And if you're not...
To be fair, I had been promised a Diet Sprite. I mean, that was arranged way and ahead of... I mean, there's no reason that should happen.
We said we're sorry. We're going to get you a pony as contracted. But you learn when you're lucky enough to keep working to gravitate towards the people that aren't like that, and so when I met Paul, it's always a thrill where you're like, wow, Paul Rudd, who deserves to be one of the Diet Sprite brats, is actually super nice and wants to talk about history. And so to me, that was an incredibly charismatic meeting. As John said, where you get a thrill and say, wow, we can be friends despite all the crazy BS in our lives. We can sit around and talk about things that most people think are boring. And then I would go through probably some of his work and give him compliments about being able to be really funny, but also lovable, and like be able to be cast as a guy who both kisses girls and is a great clown, which is a hard niche to find oneself.
I have to.
in.
I should have stopped you a long time ago because it's uncomfortable to
And
hear.
I just want to say one thing. Just one thing about your butt. Amazing butt.
Now I know you're lying. I must say, for me, and I know it's not directed to me. I kind of remember that I was incredibly drunk. No, not really. It was a real thrill for me, and it was a great conversation. You have that thing where you're just like, wow, I can't believe I'm talking to this guy who I admire, I'm a fan of. I feel this with John, and I'm always feeling as if I need to kind of play catch up a little bit with you guys and your big brains. Here's a moment. It's just it kind of encapsulates. I think I had a Zelig kind of moment where even before we are like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You know what? I'm gonna go with you. I don't even have to go. I just wanted to be part of. Like
I think we all know what you wanted.
I'm standing there and just like, oh, this is like Zelig. I look up to you so much that I just want to be, I just want to be invited. Like, there's no reason I'm here. I feel like I'm not contributing anything. I'm just so happy to, get a ticket to the dance with these guys.
We're happy to give you...
Well, thank you, but you just made a massive contribution by pointing out that's very much the spirit of the book, which is what we try to do is stay living in a place where we feel like we want to catch up, and we get together with people that make us, like, after we leave, you'll be on my mind, and I'll think, have I expressed my appreciation to these guys enough? Have I shown them good manners? Have I shown my gratitude? And all of these people, the ones that are living that I did chapters on, make me feel the same way, where if I write a song, I think, would Jeff Tweedy think this is garbage? And so that's what I love about you guys and my characters, is that they make you live like a student and remember to always try and improve myself, which makes it for a very happy life.
Indeed. Well, speaking of songs, would you like to sing a song before we go?
I'd be happy to take a swing at it.
Yeah, there's a song. Yeah? Oh, yeah, we should say this poster was created by a colleague of Mr. Offerman's.
Jimmy DiResta, the great
here.
Jimmy DiResta.
Right? He's right here.
Jimmy's upstate.
Oh, excuse me. Wait a minute. Who made the thing?
Jimmy.
Jimmy did. Oh,
Yes,
right.
with his handy disciple David Welder.
Okay, and it's a beautiful poster, and I'm so happy to be up there in the corner opposite you, Nick, and there's Paul Rudd, one of lovely Liberty next
Lounging next to George Washington, but I want to point that out because if you just take a cursory glance, you might think it's Geddy Lee from Rush.
There is a surprising resemblance, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, let's all sing a song together. Does that sound all right to you?
Yes, please.
All right, good. So, you find your people in life, and they don't necessarily have to be famous or anything. They're just the people who challenge you and make you better. And for us, for Nick and I, we were brought together because of a passing acquaintanceship that I had made with Jeff Tweedy of Wilco, who is one of my heroes in the world. And then, oh, thank you.
You guys got it.
And when you find your people, you just keep passing things along to each other, and you show them the things that you like. And Jeff Tweedy introduced me to this song by a band called the Handsome Family, called So Much Wine, and he taught me how to play it, and I wanted to teach it to Nick because it seems foolish that he doesn't know it, and I'll teach it to all of you guys as well. And all you need to do is sing on the chorus, and the chorus goes, "Listen to me, butterfly.
Listen to me, butterfly.
There is only so much wine.
There's only so much wine
You can drink
you can drink
in one life.
in one night,
In
one life.
It will never be enough."
It will never be enough.
That's the only part you
I've
can
already forgotten all of
Yeah.
it.
Don't worry, I'll be singing it too. Or you can just hum along, right? I had nothing to say on Christmas Day when you threw your clothes in the snow. When you burnt your hair, knocked over chairs, I just tried to stay out of your way. When you fell asleep with blood on your teeth, it's not a sweet song. I got in my car and drove away. Here we go. Listen to me, butterfly. There is only so much wine you can drink. You can drink in one life. In one lifetime. It will never be enough to save you from the bottom of your glass, where the state highway starts. I parked my car. I got out to look at the stars. As meteors died, shot across the sky, I thought about your sad and shining eyes. That's you, Nick. I came back for my clothes when the sun finally rose, but you were still passed out on the floor. That's you too. Listen to me, butterfly. There is only so much wine you can drink. You can drink in one life. In one life, it will never be enough to save you from the bottom of your glass. Nick Offerman, ladies and gentlemen. There's Ant-Man himself, Mr. Paul Rudd. Thank you so much for coming out.